That sentence
Hey,
didn't
look at
sound
this.
like a preference.
What is it?
It sounded
final
like a
plans.
decision
Take a
I
look.
wasn't part of.
Wow, this looks great.
She said it casually.
So, what
like
do you
she
think
was
of the
choosing
design?
between coffee
Looks
or
clean.
tea,
Can I see the details?
not rewriting the
Here you go.
identity of
Thanks.
our future. And in that
The layout
moment,
is solid. What about the
something
flow here?
inside me didn't
Let's see.
break.
Yes, this
It went
adjustment works.
completely still.
Good, let's proceed.
Her name was
Look
Sloane
at this.
Harrington.
The
And she
sunset
had
is supposed to be
always carried
incredible
herself
Oh,
like
yeah? Let's
someone
go
who
watch
had
it from the
already
patio.
lived
Perfect.
several lives before meeting
We need to
me.
talk about
We were
this.
sitting in her
What is it?
townhouse
Look,
in Scottsdale.
the perimeter
late
was breached.
afternoon
How
light
bad?
stretching across
The layout is
marble
good, but we
kitchen
need to
island
adjust
she
the lighting.
insisted was
I agree. More natural light from these
non-negotiable
windows would
when
be
she bought
perfect.
the place.
Good idea.
She was
This
reviewing
view
a
is
guest
incredible,
list
isn't
on her
it?
tablet.
It's perfect.
Barely
The desert
looking
light
up
is
when she said
magical.
it.
I could
I'm
stay here
keeping the
forever.
last name, she added,
Find
as
anything
if
good?
clarifying something minor.
Yeah, this
My
recipe looks
ex-husband's
perfect.
name is tied
Great.
to my professional brand. I remember the
Almost
exact
done
way
here.
she said brand.
Take your time.
Sharp,
Thanks.
clean,
It's a nice view.
final. My name is
What does it
Ethan
say?
Calloway.
It's the
And up
location. We
until
need to
that
go now.
moment, I thought
How
I
accurate
understood
is
the
it?
woman I was
It's
about
solid,
to
trust
marry.
me.
We had been engaged
Look at
for 5
this.
months.
What is it?
Our lives,
The design
at least
for
on
the
the
new
surface,
space?
were
Oh,
aligned.
wow. I like
But
it.
this wasn't surface
Look,
level.
it's confirmed.
I didn't respond
Really?
immediately.
That's incredible.
Not because
We
I didn't
should
have
call them now.
thoughts, but
Let's
because
see.
I suddenly had too many. And none
These
of them
numbers are
felt
solid.
safe to say
Good.
out loud.
Any
What do you
issues?
mean?
Just
I
one.
finally asked, keeping my voice
The numbers
measured.
look good.
She tapped
Better
the
than
screen,
expected?
zooming
Yes,
in
much
on
better.
something I couldn't
Good.
see.
Let's move forward.
I mean, exactly that.
The numbers
she
look
said.
good.
I've built
Better
my
than
consulting
expected?
firm
Yes,
under the
much
name
better.
Harrington
Good.
Klein.
Let's move forward.
Her ex-husband's last name, Klein. She said it without hesitation, without discomfort, without any awareness that the word itself landed like something unfinished between us. It's recognizable, she continued. It has equity. Equity. I leaned back slightly, studying her. Have you thought about what that means for us? She paused then, just for a second, not because she hadn't thought about it, but because she was deciding how much of the truth I could handle. It means nothing changes, she said. Our relationship is separate from my professional identity. Separate. That word sat between us like a quiet wall. Before we go further, tell me honestly in the comments, if you were in Ethan's position, would you see this as practical or personal? I didn't argue. Not then, because arguing requires clarity, and I didn't have it yet. What I had was a growing sense that I had stepped into a story that had started long before me, and maybe hadn't actually ended. That night, I stayed longer than usual. Not out of comfort, but observation. Sloane moved through her home with precision. Everything had a place. Everything had intent. Except maybe me. I noticed a framed article on the wall I hadn't paid attention to before. Forbes, Rising Strategic Minds Under 40. Her name printed clearly. Sloane Harrington Klein. I stared at it longer than I should have. She noticed. That was 2 years ago, she said casually. It's what put me on the map. On the map. I nodded. But something about that phrasing stayed with me. Because maps don't just show where you are. They show where you've been, and sometimes where you never really left. Over the next few days, I didn't bring it up again. Neither did she. But silence doesn't resolve tension. It preserves it. I started paying attention to details I had previously ignored. Emails she left open on her laptop. Her company website. Her LinkedIn profile. Everything was consistent. Everything was branded. And everything included that name. Harrington Klein. Not once did I see any sign of transition. No hyphen change. No future plan. No indication that our marriage, would alter anything. And maybe that was the point. We met again 4 days later for dinner in Paradise Valley. A quiet restaurant she preferred because the crowd understands privacy. Halfway through the meal, I asked the question I had been avoiding. Would you ever consider changing it later? She didn't look surprised. She looked prepared. No, she said simply. No hesitation. No qualifiers. No maybe. Just no. I set my fork down. Not even a conversation about it. It's not emotional for me, she replied. It's strategic. Strategic. I studied her again, trying to understand whether I was being unreasonable or whether I had missed something fundamental about who she was. Does he still use that name in the same industry? I asked. She took a sip of water. Yes. And you're okay with that overlap? It benefits both of us. Both of us, not us. Before we move on, think about this for a second. If two people share a professional identity after their relationship ends, is that closure or just a different kind of attachment? That was the moment something shifted. Not dramatically, not explosively, but quietly, like a door closing somewhere deep inside me. I realized this wasn't about a name. It was about alignment, about whether we were building something new or maintaining something old while calling it new. Over the next week, I pulled back slightly, not in a way that was obvious, but enough to see what would happen. She didn't chase. She didn't question. She adjusted. And that adjustment told me more than any argument could have. Because when someone adapts to distance without resistance, it usually means the distance was already there. I met her one last time in her living room. Same light, same calm. But this time I didn't sit down. I think we need to talk about where this is going, I said. She nodded. Not nervous, not defensive, just ready. I don't think we're building the same future, I continued. She didn't interrupt. I'm not asking you to change your name, I added. I'm asking whether you see us as something that deserves its own identity. She held my gaze for a long moment, and then she answered, I see us as something that fits into the life I've already built. Fits into, not grows from, not transforms with. Fits into. That was it. No anger, no betrayal, just clarity. I don't want to fit into something, I said quietly. I want to build something. She nodded once, and that was the end of it. No dramatic exit. No raised voices. Just two people recognizing that their definitions of the future didn't match. I walked out of that house with the same name I walked in with, but not the same understanding of what it means to share it.